Grace tore the clothes off a billionaire in broad daylight. She screamed that they were cursed, that he'd die if he kept wearing them. Everyone thought she was crazy, until they found the charm sewn into his jacket lining. Dark, bloody, pulsing with something evil. And the person who put it there? His own brother, Michael. Michael ran. The police caught him. He confessed everything. Raymond was saved. Grace became a hero. The news ran the story for 3 days straight. But nobody remembered what the native doctor told Michael. If the curse is broken before 3 days, it will turn on whoever breaks it. Grace broke the curse on day 2. And what happened to her next? Nobody saw it coming. Not even Grace. If you haven't watched part 1, go watch it now. This won't make sense without it. And don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. 4 days after Grace ripped Raymond's clothes off, Lagos couldn't stop talking about her. The homeless bread seller who saved a billionaire's life. Video clips spread everywhere, her face on blogs, her name in newspapers. The girl who sees death, one headline screamed. Raymond called a press conference. Grace stood beside him, wearing a new dress he'd bought for her. Clean, ironed, the first new thing she'd owned in 3 years. Cameras flashed. "This young woman risked everything to save my life," Raymond said, his voice thick with emotion. "While my own brother plotted to kill me, a stranger showed me what true loyalty looks like." He turned to Grace. "I'm giving her a job, a place to stay, a chance at the life she deserves." The crowd erupted in applause. Grace stood there, overwhelmed, tears streaming down her face. For the first time in years, she felt safe. She moved into Raymond's guest house that same evening. The room had a bed, soft, clean sheets that smelled like lavender. Grace sat on the edge and cried. She touched the walls, ran her fingers across the bedspread, stared at the bathroom with running water. "This is real," she whispered to herself. "This is really happening." That night she slept without fear for the first time since she was 14. The next morning, Raymond's driver took her to work. Her job was simple: administrative assistant, answering phones, filing documents. The office staff whispered when she walked in. "That's her, the girl from the news." Some smiled, others stared. A few looked away. Grace kept her head down and worked. During lunch, Raymond stopped by her desk. "How are you settling in?" "Fine, sir, thank you, for everything." Raymond smiled. "You saved my life, Grace. This is the least I can do." You paused. "That gift you have, seeing danger, has it happened again?" Grace shook her head quickly. "No, sir." But that was a lie, because that morning when she'd passed the construction site on her way to the office, she'd felt it. That familiar tightness in her chest, the certainty that something terrible was about to happen. She'd seen a worker climbing scaffolding, and she knew. She'd opened her mouth to shout a warning, then stopped. 3 years of silence had taught her something brutal. Speaking up destroyed you just as often as it saved people. So she'd walked past, gotten into the car, said nothing. 20 minutes later, the scaffolding collapsed. The worker fell 3 stories. Raymond heard about it during lunch break. She excused herself, went to the bathroom, and threw up. That evening, she couldn't eat dinner. Raymond noticed. "Grace, you okay?" "Just tired, sir." But exhaustion wasn't the problem. Guilt was eating her alive. The first sign came 5 days later. Grace woke up at 3 a.m., drenched in sweat. Her body was burning. She stumbled to the bathroom and splashed water on her face. In the mirror, her eyes looked strange, bloodshot, dark circles underneath. "I'm just tired," she told herself, but when she returned to bed, she couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw faces. The woman who'd been hit by the car 3 years ago, the construction worker who fell last week, and hundreds of others. People she'd seen in danger, people she'd walked past. Their eyes stared at her, accusing, bleeding. "You saw, you knew, you said nothing." Grace sat up, gasping. The fever got worse over the next 3 days. Raymond called the doctor. The doctor examined her, took her temperature, checked her vitals. "Physically, there's nothing wrong," he said, confused, "but her body is reacting to something. Stress, maybe?" He prescribed rest, but rest didn't help, because every night the nightmares got worse. And during the day, something else started happening. Grace would be walking through the office when suddenly everything would shift. She'd see a flash, a vision, a moment that hadn't happened yet. The office manager slipping on wet floors, breaking her neck. A driver running a red light, crashing into a school bus. Raymond's daughter choking on food at a restaurant. Each vision hit her like a physical blow. She'd gasp, stumble, grab onto desks for support. "Grace?" her coworkers would ask. "Are you okay?" She'd force a smile. "I'm fine." But she wasn't fine. The visions were coming faster now. Everywhere she looked, she saw death, and it was getting harder to stay silent. One afternoon, she was in the break room when the vision hit. The cleaning lady, electrocuted by a faulty wire in the storage room. Grace saw it clearly, the woman screaming, the lights flickering, the smell of burning flesh. "No," Grace whispered. "Did you say something?" the cleaning lady asked, looking up from her mop. Grace stared at this kind, older woman who always smiled at her. "The storage room," Grace said slowly. "Don't go in there today, please." The woman frowned. "Why not?" "Just trust me. There's a problem with the wiring." The woman laughed nervously. "How would you know that?" Grace couldn't answer. The woman shook her head and walked toward the storage room anyway. Grace's heart raced. "Wait, please." The woman opened the door. Nothing happened. She stepped inside, turned on the light. Still nothing. She turned back to Grace, confused. "See, it's fine." But Grace was already running. She grabbed the arm and pulled her out just as the light fixture exploded. Sparks flew. The entire room went dark. The woman stood there, shaking, staring at where she'd been standing seconds ago. How did you know?" Grace couldn't answer. She ran to the bathroom and locked herself in a stall. Her hands were trembling, her heart pounding. This wasn't a gift. This was a curse, and it was getting stronger. That night, Grace couldn't take it anymore. The visions, the nightmares, the fever that wouldn't break. She needed answers. She took a taxi to the one place she'd sworn she'd never return to. The shrine. The same shrine where Michael had cursed Raymond's clothes. The driver refused to go past a certain point. "That place is evil," he said. "I'm not going closer." Grace paid him and walked the rest of the way. The path was dark, overgrown. The air smelled like smoke and decay. When she reached the shrine, the native doctor was waiting, as if he'd known she was coming. "Sit," he said. Grace sat. "You broke the curse," he said calmly. "I had to. He would have died." "Yes, but every curse has a price, and someone must pay it." Grace's blood ran cold. "What are you saying?" The native doctor leaned forward. "When Michael cursed those clothes, the agreement was clear. If the curse completed, Raymond would die. If the curse was broken, it would transfer to whoever broke it." "Transfer?" Grace whispered. "You didn't just break the curse, child. You absorbed it." Grace felt the room spinning. "The visions you're seeing, the fever, the nightmares, that's the curse awakening inside you." "No," Grace said. "No, that can't be." "You see death now, everywhere, in everyone, and it will drive you mad unless you feed it." "Feed it? What does that mean?" The native doctor's eyes were emotionless. "The curse was designed to take a life, Raymond's life. You stopped that, but the curse still demands death." Grace stood up. "I'm not killing anyone." "You don't have to. The curse will do it for you. Every person you see in danger, if you save them, someone else dies in their place. If you don't save them, their death feeds the curse and keeps it satisfied." Grace backed toward the door. "So my choices are, let people die or save them and cause someone else to die?"
Those are the only choices the curse allows. There has to be another way. The native doctor stood. There is one way, but you won't like it. Tell me. He walked toward her slowly. Transfer the curse to someone else, the same way it transferred to you. Make someone else break a curse, and it will pass to them. Grace felt sick. You want me to curse someone so I can trick them into breaking it? I don't want anything, the native doctor said. I'm simply telling you how curses work. Grace turned and ran. She ran through the dark paths, past the trees, back to the road. She didn't stop running until she reached the main street. A taxi stopped. She got in, shaking, crying, unable to speak. The driver looked concerned. "Are you okay, sister?" Grace couldn't answer, because she just realized something terrible. The cleaning lady, the one she'd saved from electrocution today. Someone else had died in her place. The curse had already started feeding.
2 days later, Grace stopped going to work. She locked herself in the guest house and refused to come out. Raymond knocked on her door. "Grace, what's wrong? Talk to me." "I'm fine," she called back. "I just need rest." But she wasn't fine. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw them, the deaths she'd caused by saving people. The cleaning lady lived, but a teenager drowned in Lecky that same hour. She'd warned a driver about faulty brakes. He lived. An elderly woman had a heart attack minutes later. Every life she saved cost another life somewhere else. The curse was balancing itself, and Grace was the scale. She stopped eating, stopped sleeping. Her reflection in the mirror looked hollow, eyes sunken, skin pale. "I can't do this," she whispered to herself. "I can't keep killing people." But if she stopped saving people, she'd have to watch them die, and the visions wouldn't stop. She saw Raymond's daughter, choking, dying soon. She saw the security guard, car accident, 3 days from now. She saw the office manager, falling downstairs next week. Every vision was a countdown, a choice she'd have to make. Save them and kill a stranger, or let them die and live with the guilt. Grace pulled her knees to her chest and sobbed. "Why me?" she screamed. "Why did this have to be me?" That night, Raymond forced the door open. He found Grace on the floor, shaking, fever burning through her. "Grace, what's happening to you?" She looked up at him with wild eyes. "I'm cursed," she whispered. "The curse that was meant for you. It's inside me now." Raymond's face went white. "What?" "Every person I save, someone else dies. Every person I let die, I carry their blood. There's no way out." Raymond knelt beside her. "There has to be a way. Tell me how to fix this." "You can't fix it," Grace said, "unless you're willing to curse someone else." Raymond's jaw tightened. "Then we curse Michael. He started this. He should carry it." Grace shook her head weakly. "It doesn't work like that. It has to be someone innocent, someone who doesn't know." Raymond stood up, pacing. "I'll find another native doctor, a priest, someone who can break curses." "They'll tell you the same thing," Grace whispered. "I already tried." Raymond stared at her, helpless. For all his money, all his power, he couldn't save her. Then Grace said something that made his blood run cold. "Your daughter, Isabella, she's going to choke on food tomorrow night at the restaurant you're taking her to." Raymond froze. "What?" "I saw it. She orders the chicken. A piece gets stuck. She can't breathe. You try to help, but you don't know how. She dies in your arms." Raymond's hands started shaking. "No, no, that's not going to happen." "It will," Grace said, "unless I stop it." "Then stop it!" Grace looked at him with tears streaming down her face. "If I save her, someone else's child dies. A mother somewhere loses her daughter because I chose to save yours." Raymond couldn't speak. "So tell me," Grace whispered, "what should I do?" The next evening, Raymond took his daughter Isabella to dinner.
exactly as Grace had predicted. Grace stayed in the guest house, knowing what was about to happen. She'd made her choice. She wouldn't interfere. She'd let fate take its course. Better one death than an endless cycle of killing. At the restaurant, Isabella laughed at her father's jokes. She ordered chicken. Raymond's chest tightened. He watched every bite she took. Then it happened. Isabella's eyes went wide. Her hands flew to her throat. She couldn't breathe. "Isabella!" Raymond jumped up. People screamed. Someone called for help. Raymond tried the Heimlich maneuver, but his hands were shaking too much. Isabella's face was turning blue. "Please," Raymond begged. "Please, somebody help." Then a woman rushed forward. She was calm, efficient, trained. She performed the Heimlich correctly. The piece of chicken flew out. Isabella gasped, breathing again, crying. The woman stepped back. Raymond turned to thank her, but she was already walking away. "Wait," Raymond called. "Thank you. What's your name?" The woman paused at the door, turned, and Raymond's blood went cold. It was Grace, but not the Grace he knew. Her eyes were clear, no fever, no exhaustion. She looked healthy, strong, completely different. "Grace?" Raymond whispered. "How are you here? You said you weren't coming." Grace smiled sadly. "I didn't come, Raymond." "What do you mean? You just saved Isabella's life." Grace shook her head slowly. "No, I died 3 hours ago, in your guest house. The fever finally took me." Raymond's legs nearly gave out. "That's impossible. You're standing right here." "What's standing here isn't me," Grace said softly. "It's the curse. It needed Isabella to live, because her death would have broken you, and a broken Raymond Cole can't succeed, can't build, can't help others." She stepped closer. The curse didn't want just any death. It wanted the right death. It wanted balance. "I don't understand," Raymond said, voice shaking. "You were supposed to die, Raymond. That was the original plan. But I stopped it, so the curse took me instead. And now I'm bound to it. Forever." "No," Raymond whispered. "No, this can't be real." "I'm not the first," Grace said softly. "Every curse like this has a keeper, someone who sees death, someone who guides it, makes sure the balance is maintained." She touched Isabella's head gently. "She'll live a long life, do great things, help thousands of people. That's worth one homeless girl, isn't it?" "Don't say that," Raymond's voice broke. "Your life mattered. You mattered." Grace smiled sadly. "I know. That's why this doesn't feel like punishment. It feels like purpose." She started to fade. "Wait!" Raymond reached for her. "There has to be a way to free you." "There is," Grace said. "When you find another person with the gift, another person who sees death before it happens, give them a choice. Let them decide if they want to carry this burden. And if they refuse, then I stay, and I keep watching, keep guiding, keep balancing the scales." Raymond fell to his knees. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." "Don't be," Grace whispered. "You gave me 2 weeks of kindness. That's more than most people get in a lifetime." She was almost gone now. "Take care of Isabella, and Raymond, don't waste the life I died to protect." Then she vanished. Isabella ran to her father, sobbing. "Dad, are you okay? Who was that woman?" Raymond pulled her close, tears streaming down his face. "Someone very brave," he whispered. "Someone who gave up everything so you could live." The restaurant staff found Raymond's driver waiting outside. "Sir, there's something in the car. A note. It was just there." Raymond opened it with shaking hands. Grace's handwriting. "Dear Raymond, by the time you read this, I'll be gone. But I want you to know something. I spent 3 years being silent, watching people die, too afraid to speak. You gave me the courage to use my voice again. And yes, it cost me everything. But I'd rather die speaking truth than live silent in fear. Thank you for reminding me that some things are worth the cost. Keep building, keep helping, keep being the man who lifts others up. And when you succeed, remember the homeless girl who saw something in you worth saving. Grace. Raymond read it 3 times before he could breathe again. That night he couldn't sleep. He went to the guest house where Grace had died. The room was clean, empty, like she'd never been there, except for one thing. On the bedside table sat Grace's old bread basket, the one she dropped the day she saved his life. Inside it was fresh bread, still warm. Raymond picked up a piece, hands trembling. It smelled like every morning Grace had spent on those streets, every struggle, every choice, every moment of courage. He took a bite and wept, because he understood now. Grace hadn't just saved his life that day. She'd taught him what life was worth.
3 months later, Raymond opened the Grace Foundation, a shelter for homeless youth, job training, education, support. On the wall of the main building hung a photograph, a 17-year-old girl with a bread basket on her head, smiling despite everything. Underneath, a plaque read, "Some people save lives by accident. Grace chose to save mine on purpose." This foundation exists because one homeless girl believed a stranger's life was worth her own. Every morning, fresh bread was delivered to the shelter. Nobody knew where it came from, but Raymond knew. Some debts can never be repaid. Some gifts can never be returned. And some heroes never get to see the lives they changed. But Grace was watching, always watching, guiding death away from the innocent, balancing the scales, fulfilling the curse that had become her purpose. And somewhere in the spaces between life and death, she smiled, because she'd finally found what she'd been searching for all along. A reason to speak, a reason to care, a reason to matter, even if it killed her. Grace died to save a billionaire's daughter, but her death saved thousands, because Raymond built an empire of kindness in her name. And every person that foundation helped, that was Grace, still saving lives, still speaking up, still refusing to stay silent. The curse took her body, but it couldn't take her impact. This is what happens when one person decides their voice matters more than their safety. This is what happens when courage costs everything, and you keep paying anyway. If this story moved you, hit that like button, subscribe to The Tales Teller, share this with someone who needs to remember that one voice can change everything. Your story could be next.